next year, Spider-Man is going to swing back into theaters. That's right. And now, in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and now, we know a couple of other characters who will be popping up in Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's right. And they are the Punisher, the Hulk, and Scorpion. So we'll break this up into, we'll focus on each character individually instead of just trying to smash them all together into one segment. But, so this comes to us from Variety and The Hollywood Reporter, but I also feel like we should give a special shout out to John Roca on the Hot Mic, who reported this news who reported about Punisher and Hulk back in January while the trades picked it up last month. So let's start first with the Punisher, because Punisher is going to be in there, played by Jon Bernthal, reprising his role from Daredevil, his own Punisher show, Daredevil Born Again, and I think it's next year, there's also going to be a Punisher Disney Plus special that he is co-writing with someone else. So I always think that's cool whenever an actor gets more involved and gets behind the camera as well. Mm-hmm. That I always love seeing that.
Oh yeah.
So, Punisher being in a Spider-Man movie makes sense because I don't know if you know this, Punisher's first appearance was in an issue of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yes. So, to me, this is the news about Punisher is very surprising, being in Spider-Man Brand New Day for a number of reasons. Oh, by the way, I think I should mention this before. I do like the idea of Punisher being in there because I think he can bring out another side to Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And clearly, he's not going to have the same type of role as a Doctor Strange or an Iron Man in those. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Punisher is kind of like Nick Fury was in Far From Home. You can put him in there, but it would still feel like solo Spider-Man. It doesn't feel like, oh, it's Spider-Man with the co-starring Punisher. No, it feels still like it's Spider-Man. It's just here is a supporting character that we kind of know already.
Yeah.
It felt that same way in the 90s cartoon when Punisher would show up. So, there's that. But for me, this is very surprising news for a couple reasons. And the big one for me is that over the past year, Marvel has been really trying to separate their movies and their TV shows because we saw back starting in 2023 when they try to cross over movies and TV shows, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. You had the Marvels that flopped, which brought in characters from WandaVision and Miss Marvel. Captain America Brave New World underperformed, which was a sequel to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Black Widow, with half of the cast being from TV, that underperformed. So Marvel and Kevin Feige has talked about, we can't make it so that fans feel like they have to catch up on the TV shows because it's really only the diehards who are going to watch the shows. The casuals will watch the movies. It's really the diehards who will watch the shows, which is why back in the day, they had it was fine when how the relationship between the movies and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? Mm-hmm. In the movies, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't canon. But in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the movies were canon. Because everyone who watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Daredevil watched those movies. But it's not the same reversed. Not everyone who watches the movies is going to watch the TV shows. So for me, I'm a little surprised by that they're bringing them together. So, there is a concerning thing about bringing Punisher, and that is that they need to make sure that they don't fall into the same trap those other movies did. They have to make sure Punisher in this movie, it basically has to be his introduction. You can't just assume people watched Punisher from 2017 or whatever. That's 9 years ago. So you gotta make sure that the audience doesn't feel lost seeing Punisher. So this is kind of gotta be his. You gotta treat it like an introduction, and thematically, I think that Punisher being in this movie shows something that we've kind of felt for a while, is that this movie will be more serious than the John Watts trilogy. Obviously, there's a new director in Destin Daniel. I'm forgetting his name, but it's the guy who did Shang-Chi. There is a new director, so it is going to feel different. So I think this shows it's going to be a darker tone, and I think that this could have that putting Punisher in there, you could have something really interesting about how does Spider-Man deal with a character who is willing to cross that line and kill criminals. So that could be really interesting. That's not something we've really seen either in a Spider-Man movie or in the MCU itself. We tackled it a little bit on Daredevil season 2, but really that's the first time we've kind of dealt with like this classic story of, hey, where is the line? How do you not cross the line? So that's interesting. Also, Peter Parker is kind of in the same position that Frank Castle is in, right? Frank Castle lost his family, and that's why he does what he does. Peter Parker really lost his family recently with the death of Aunt May and losing Ned and MJ. So, I guess, but first, what do you think about Punisher being in a character in Spider-Man Brand New Day?
That's really cool. I mean, I do think that would be a cool direction that we're assuming for the tone to go. I think it gives me some kind of inexplicable hope for it being in the right direction. It's gonna create a lot of new Punisher bumper stickers for people's Hummers. That's for sure. But nonetheless, Punisher is in fact a cool character, and it's gonna be interesting to see how they pair that with Spider-Man in this particular movie. Maybe he'll be a tutor like figure and give Spider-Man a gun.
That can be all right, Spidey. Make sure you close one eye and then you look in through the scope and make sure you keep firing until they're dead.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Castle, I'll get ready.
Yeah.
So, talking about separating Marvel TV from the movies, how much of a risk do you think there is of kind of alienating the regular fans of, like, oh my god, like, who is this character? Like, I feel like I must have needed to watch a show that ran in, like, 2017. Do you think that's a risk? Or is Punisher more of a character like, hey, you can kind of drop him in anywhere. There's not that much that you have to worry about in terms of, like, who this character is.
Yeah.
Because we saw, like, it's now a fact. Like, this experiment of mixing TV and movies has failed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Is there a risk? Or is Punisher one of those characters where, well, it's not really a risk. It's more like, hey, you just give a couple of lines about his background, you'll be fine.
I actually don't think I view it as a risk. If it were like a more elaborately suited character, or something like this guy in a different colored tights who calls himself like the Mega Bug or whatever, and like then it's sort of like, who's this guy? Am I supposed to know who this is? But I feel like the Punisher feels down to earth enough where it's like, any movie that isn't based on existing IP has to introduce you to the characters, many characters, in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I think the Punisher is probably one of the ones that's sort of like, okay, I get what's happening. I don't really need more than a couple lines of dialogue to kind of be on the same page. And I personally don't think it's like the most obscure character. Like people, even if they haven't seen the 2017 thing, like are at least aware of the Punisher.
Yeah, I think I think Punisher, out of like compared to the other TV characters, is less of a risk for that. And they did a great job introducing Punisher in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. That worked really well. So yeah. So I guess we'll move on to the other character who is going to pop up, and that is the Hulk, played by Mark Ruffalo. So Ruffalo, the last time he played the Hulk was in 2022's She-Hulk Attorney at Law. I'm not gonna lie. Out of all the three characters listed, right? This is the one I'm a little disappointed is happening. Because I'll just be honest. I really wanted this to be Spider-Man on his own. Because outside of Far From Home, which, I'll be honest, I think Far From Home is a solo movie. Even though it has Nick Fury, I think that is really like a true solo movie. That movie sucked.
Yeah.
So, outside of that, we haven't really had true solo Spider-Man since The Amazing Spider-Man 2 in 2014. So, I was really hoping that Spider-Man would be on his own and not have another Avengers character. And I just gotta say, before Avengers Endgame, this would have been a crossover I would have loved to see. Like, oh, Spider-Man the Hulk? That's cool. But now, where Hulk is just CGI Mark Ruffalo, it feels like that time has passed. Like, why do we even have the Hulk anymore if he's not going to be the Hulk? So, there's that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, because he can't be the type of character that Iron Man, Doctor Strange was, because Bruce Banner wouldn't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So it did get me thinking, what if, hypothetically, Bruce Banner is Peter's college professor? Kind of like how Kurt Connors was in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. And he's a mentor to Peter instead of Spidey in college. And also, since we have the Punisher in there, Banner could be the one to help, like, Peter understand more about rage and controlling it, which is something Peter could use when confronting the Punisher. So, I'm just speculating about that. I don't know, maybe Hulk could serve a purpose in helping Peter get through to Punisher. And let's just throw this out there. I would love to see the real Hulk come back, the one who says Hulk smash. I don't think they're going to do that in a Spider-Man movie. I think that they'll save that for Avengers Secret Wars. By the way, no, we can save that for the end. But, so yeah, I'm a little disappointed that Hulk is there, even though Hulk is one of my favorite Marvel characters, but I don't know, maybe he could serve in a different way than the other characters. So, what do you think about Mark Ruffalo appearing in Spider-Man Brand New Day as the Hulk?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a push and pull, because I do think the Punisher was like, oh, this tone could be good. The Hulk is like, I agree, kind of one of the more rough parts of, like, say, Endgame, in my opinion. But I think, it is an opportunity to fix the Hulk, a new direction.
Every opportunity is.
Yes. Because, they obviously are not really rebooting characters at this point. And, like, it's not like I mind Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. I mean, I don't know about you. I think it's more of a writing issue than it is anything in terms of Hulk's Endgame.
I'll be honest, I think he's fine as the Hulk. be honest. I think out of our 4, I think the previous 3 were better of our live-action banners, like Bixby, Banna, Norton. But it is just like, why is Hulk now just CGI Mark Ruffalo? He's just Green Banner. Like, everything interesting about him that was in the first 2 Avengers movies is gone now.
Yeah, and maybe I'm being too optimistic in that it's kind of too much to need to fix in, like, as a side character in one movie, but I guess it's like, I'm not excited about it if there's very little progress from what we saw there. If it's sort of like a soft reboot, like, okay, we're doing the Hulk like this now, then I'm like, okay, cool, this movie was a chance to sort of fix that. And then that's exciting.
Yes. Do you think he will become... What do you think are the chances that he will become the classic Hulk again? Do you think that's likely in a Spider-Man movie, or would they save that for Avengers?
You know, I might... Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be that... If anything, maybe there's like a final battle where you see... Oh, quick Hulk smash, and he seems like a regular Hulk in like a final scene. But it would be hard to do much character development to lead up to that, so I could see it being more of like a side role, like a college professor or something, and then saving the true, I guess, return to form for Avengers.
Although, if it did happen, final battle, you see Hulk become rageful again, how awesome would that be?
Yeah.
Like, that would get people hyped.
Oh, yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah. So, let's move on to the third and final character we have up here, and that is the Scorpion. So, Michael Mando is returning as the character after appearing in Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, Scorpion was recently featured in the Disney Plus animated series Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and was one of the main villains in that show. And there was a great episode where, like, he was the first villain to actually beat Spider-Man, and, like, how that, like, affected Peter. Like, he was afraid to go back out there and, like, fight crime again. And it came... Oh, man. I gotta bring this up real quick. Guys, if you haven't seen Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, you gotta check it out. There is, like, a scene... So, like, you know how, like, the show is basically... You take the scene from Civil War, instead of Tony being Peter's mentor, it's Norman Osborn. There is a scene where after, like, Peter talks about, like, I don't know if I can fight Scorpion again, Norman comes to him and says, you know, Peter, and he talks about, you know, Peter, with great power, and you're like, oh, comes great respect. And you're like, no, no, he's bad, Peter, don't listen to him, he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
So, that was great. So, I'm a little surprised that after featuring him in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man this year, that they're going to use him again in Brand New Day. But maybe it was kind of a test run of like, hey, let's get people excited for Scorpion so that when he comes back onto the big screen, they'll be excited. And you know what? If that was the intention, it worked. Because after seeing him in that show, I am more interested in seeing Scorpion than I would have beforehand. And I think that you could do an interesting thing where maybe the conflict between Spider-Man and the Punisher is about Scorpion. So maybe, like, Punisher's like, hey, I'm going to kill this guy. And Spider-Man's like, no, we can't cross that line. Frank, with great power, there must also come great responsibility.
Of course.
So there's that. So I guess I'll turn to you. First of all, do you know who the Scorpion is? I don't think he was in the first 10 issues, was he?
Was he in the first 10 issues?
I don't think he was.
Could he have been in the second 10 issues? I don't.
He could have been.
Yeah, I don't really remember Scorpion that well, so I don't think so.
Do you remember him in the first Tobey Maguire video game?
Yeah, vaguely, I think.
There's like he's only in it for a little bit, but then like you fight him in the subway, and then there's the cut scene where he like hits Spider-Man with his tail and runs away and he's like freedom, freedom, and has one of my favorite Toby lines ever, where where he gets up and Toby's Spider-Man is just like, that was just plain rude. So
Yeah. By the way,
was
first appearance appears to be issue 19.
okay, so that's probably in volume 2.
Yeah, I think I've read volumes 1 and 2. I mean, ages ago, but I've read volumes 1 and 2. So maybe I saw little taste.
Yeah, so what do you think about Scorpion being in the movie? It sounds like he'll be the main villain.
Yeah. I mean, that seems cool. Yeah, obviously I don't know a ton, but I mean, it's very like, I think that's, if done right, very ripe for like, you know, it's Scorpion. It's has potential iconic villain kind of direction, but
You know, in the comics, when the scientist makes the Scorpion, he says he chose the Scorpion because it's the natural enemy of the spider.
yeah, that makes sense. You know, it makes sense why it's one of the first things you come up with too.
Yes. So, I'll just throw this out there real quick. You know, in the comic, the one behind the creation of the Scorpion is J. Jonah Jameson, where he works with a scientist who turns Mac Gargan into the Scorpion. Do we think that's going to happen in this movie? I can't really see J. Jonah Jameson in this universe being the one to create a villain and be like, oops, guys, my bad.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think so.
No, I think we moved past that. I don't think, like, even in the Raimi movies they would have done that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think probably going to come up with something else.
Unless, like, maybe Jameson tries to create him as a hero, but he hates masked heroes, so
Yeah.
there's that.